Hello everyone! Today I have a book review of the Ruby Red Trilogy by Kirsten Gier. They're great. Overall, the series is about Gwen and takes place in London, and she has a gene to where she's able to time travel. They think it's her cousin Charlotte, but for reasons that you'll figure out later in the series, it's actually Gwen. So they're short books and they're beautiful! Look at the covers! Ugh. I wanted to read these books. I've heard like a lot about them, but what really made me want to pick them up is the premise was interesting, but the covers. I mean, like, the covers are beautiful. So I picked them all three up and I was like, I don't care if I end up not liking these or not because the covers are just going to look so beautiful on a shelf. So it's a really good trilogy. The books aren't really all that long, but even if like they're a little longer for you, the first two books are about 400 pages and the last book is a little bit over that. They're really jam-packed with a lot of things. So I recommend reading them. They fly by fast. They're interesting enough to keep you just reading and wanting more. And she knows how to end a book on a cliffhanger because you put down one and you're like, holy crap, what just happened? And then you want to go and automatically pick up the next book in the series. So for that reason, I recommend getting all three because then you can just pick up one and go to the other like I did. So how I'm going to do this is a little bit different. I'm still going to kind of go into detail, but instead of doing a series overview, I thought that I would do an individual book kind of overview. So before each section, I'll tell you, this is going to be the spoiler section for Ruby Red, and then I'll tell you with Sapphire Blue and Emerald Green which ones that I'll be jumping into next. So if you read one or two and haven't like gotten to the other books in the series, you can still kind of watch. Another thing that I have to applaud about this book is I don't think I've ever read a translated book before. These are books translated, I think, from German to English, and personally I didn't find anything weird. I thought it all flowed really well. Good job to the translator. So go pick it up. This is the end of the non-spoilery section. I will then be starting the spoilers on Ruby Red first, since that's the first book in the trilogy. Okay, so if you haven't read Ruby Red yet, go pick it up, and I'll see you guys later. Bye! Okay, so Ruby Red, it really took me a while to get into. There's a lot of like background information that you kind of have to have in order for the series to work, but it's such a short book that I felt like a majority of the book was setting up and not so much of the action. But when it did get rolling, it was good, but it was like the last, I don't know, I'm eyeballing this, probably the last like 100 pages where I really started to get into it. I love the dynamic between Gwen and Leslie. Leslie is just such like a positive energy for Gwen, like when everything's like happening, or when Gwen time travels for like the third time and she's like, call your mom. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You need to be prepared for this. Charlotte has been prepared for this for 16 years and you have nada. Leslie was very like optimistic and really like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Gwen was like, I'm not so sure about this. But then she was also very realistic, and I thought that Gwen and Leslie had a really good balance in their friendship. So I really enjoyed that. This whole family, besides like Gwen Immediate's family, is crazy. Like, I didn't really like a lot of them. Lady Arista, her grandmother, she's just kind of hard to relate to as a grandmother. Her aunt Glenda and her cousin Charlotte are just bitches, like, let's be real. So besides her immediate family and her other aunt, the one that has the visions, the characters weren't very likable. And to be honest, for the most part throughout the series, I thought that the prophecies and like the little things that we get before each chapter, I was able to figure things out, except for the third book. The third book threw me for surprises here and there. But like halfway through the book, like as soon as her mom was like, oh yeah, I housed Lucy and Paul for a while, that just settled it. Like I had my thoughts, but once her mom said that she helped them, I automatically put together halfway through the book that Gwen was the daughter of Lucy and Paul instead of her mom. I can't remember her name right now. And another thing, to be honest, is in the first book, I really didn't like Gideon. I don't know, I just felt like it was, like he was an ass. I knew that eventually he would redeem himself, and he did, so if you're feeling the same way, just keep on going, because eventually he makes up for it. So if you're feeling as I felt in this book, and it was a little slow, or you're figuring things out, or you just didn't really relate to a lot of the characters besides Gwen and Leslie, that's a-okay. Like, The second book really helps and you may feel a lot better about the series, and then the third book is just out of this world phenomenal. I really love the third book and it makes up for the whole series. So that is it for the spoiler section of Ruby Red, and I'm about to start for Sapphire Blue. So if you haven't read that yet, I'll see you later. Bye! Okay, and now for the spoiler section of Sapphire Blue. This book was a good middle book. You start learning more about like Count Saint Germain and the whole mysteries behind the time traveling thing, and things start to click a little bit more. The first book was really like an introduction to everything. I don't know why I'm showing you the back of the book. The first book was really an introduction to everything, and then this one picks up the pace a little bit more, and you start having a lot more like time travel or like plot twists. You learn more about the chronograph and how it all makes sense. The little bits in front of the chapters, I'm guessing, and you'll see if I'm right if you read Emerald Green, that I guessed were the hidden documents that Paul kept and ends up giving to Gideon at the very end. So Zirmi or Zirmis, the little gargoyle ghost, that demon, that follows Gwen around, I love him. He is my favorite character probably of the whole series. Like, sorry Gwen, he's just so like, I would imagine like what a puppy dog would be if they could talk. Like, follows her around everywhere, but just is hilarious. I love him in this book. Gideon also bothered me in the first part of the book, and then at the end, like in the middle, you can tell that they start really liking each other more. I think my whole favorite scene in the book has to be when they're at the soiree and when she sings Memory from Cats. I liked that, and you know, it just kind of proved to everyone like, see, you underestimated her once again. So this book was a really good book, and I think set it up perfectly for the third book to really happen. To be honest, right now I'm getting confused within the second and the third book, and I keep on wanting to say things and then I check and then it was really happening in the third book. So I highly recommend that if you've read Sapphire Blue, that you need to pick up Emerald Green right away, and you need to get it and read it, because then you can come and watch the last part of this book. So that's the end of the spoiler section for Sapphire Blue, and I'm going to pick up Emerald Green. Okay, bye! Oh, Emerald Green. Where to even start? Let's just start with the obvious thing of starting with is the whole immortality thing. Never would have known or guessed that. That is the one thing out of this whole book series that really did surprise me, that I did not see coming, is the whole immortality for both Gideon and for Gwen. I honestly don't know how I feel about it though. To be honest, after reading the Infernal Devices series from Cassandra Clare, really gave me a new perspective of immortality. You know, you might think it's really cool. There's a lot of downsides that I think people don't usually think about. I almost kind of feel bad that they're immortal. Okay, they get their happy ending forever. So are they going to be stuck at like 16 and 18? Because I personally think that would kind of suck, staying at 16 years old for eternity. Like, can't you at least be like 21 or something? Because that'd be a little bit better. Still be an adult, but like, you know, you're not like a little kid. So I don't know. Or like, if you decide to have kids, like, I don't know. I just, just so many like ifs that I'm not so sure about that I like. I also liked Raphael a lot in this book. I loved Leslie and Raphael. They're cute together, and I like the fact that he was really kind of the opposite of Gideon and was able to, you know, want to pursue Leslie, versus Gideon was like, I'm not so sure about this at first, until, you know, they, in this book, kind of are basically together. The fact, too, that Mr. Whitman was Count Saint Germain, I kind of liked and I kind of didn't. I didn't like Mr. Whitman to begin with, so it made sense that he was Count Saint Germain. But at the same time, I would have really liked him to be like a real person and have Gwen kind of prove him wrong. So it makes sense that he's Count Saint Germain. I don't know, I just kind of wish that like he was the one person that Gwen was able to prove wrong, and I guess technically she did. Another thing that I wish was kind of resolved, that I'm not so sure, like if I just didn't read it or something, I don't know, but when Dr. White, you know, lied for Gwen and said, you know, that she was sick when she really kind of wasn't. That confused me. Like, why would he do that? And that was never really talked about in the book. Charlotte was a sneaky little girl, and she kind of ended up eating her own words, and Gwen was really smart about it, which made me love Mr. Bernard, the butler. And he was just great, and he had a bigger role in this that I really appreciated. He was a really like kind of like witty, fun character. And then at the end, when it's like Lucy and Paul are then in 1912 going to be known as Mr. Bernard, and you're like, oh, whoa, so that's Ben's brother. So is that why he was so willing to help? Is because he knows and like has Gwen visit him in the past, and you know, it would be fun like to read these in the future and knowing that Mr. Bernard is Gwen's brother, and the relationship between Sapphire Blue and Ruby Red. Zirmi was great when he was narrating the whole like Gwen and Leslie and seeing Gideon and Raphael and you know narrating the whole oh there were stars in their eyes and stuff. It was making me chuckle out loud. He was kind of the comic relief of all of this. Another thing that I did predict though is the reason why Gideon was mad at Gwen in Sapphire Blue is because he thought that she hit him over the head or something like that and knocked him out. Like, no, it's gonna be Gideon who ends up doing it, and I was right. I like how Gideon and Gwen don't start off to an easy start, and as much as Gwen likes Gideon, she's kind of standing up for herself, which, you know, as a reader, you're like, okay, well, obviously he lied to you, or Count Saint Germain lied, I should elaborate. He's just an evil person, and that's obviously not true because you're the reader and you know that they're obviously going to end up together at the end. But I like the fact that she was sticking up for herself. That's all I can think of for right now. So let me know your thoughts of the series, because obviously if you've gotten this far, you read the whole series. So let me know your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe, and you can follow me on Twitter and Goodreads and Tumblr, and I will have all those links down in the description below. So yeah. So I'll see you for my next video. Bye!